Today we are looking at Oscar Romeo's quote that says, "Peace is a product of justice and love." Peace is a product of justice and love. Now, while you think about that quote, let me tell you what to expect in the very first and second hour of the show. We kickstart off conversations with another look into pageantry for a purpose, right? For the most part, we know pageantry is about beauty. It's about answering questions correctly, and as cinema has depicted it, it's about the standards that women are supposed to uphold. But we're now learning that pageantry has purpose. It serves a purpose in society. I mean, think of yesterday's conversation where we spoke to Miss Earth 2024, Miss Earth South Africa 2024, and that is Amy Neal, and she joined us on the line. She was talking about how we can better preserve this land that we call home. Today, we have an opportunity to speak to Sinotile Kutu, and she'll be telling us about her journey in the strides to becoming Mrs. South Africa 2025, and that happens in the very first hour of the show. Then in the second hour of the show, we are going to be exploring therapists on wheels. Now, what if therapy came to you? No clinic, no waiting room, just healing at your doorstep. If you want to hear more on that, do stick around. Do not touch that dial. Remember, this is DSTV's 802. Also 628 on OpenView HD. We are readily available for you on that SABC Plus app. And lastly, take us anywhere you go. www.channelafrica.co.za. Let's get into some music. I see that Pato Ranking comes through with this one titled Kolo Kolo.
My love is bigger than the ocean. On your skin like a lotion. Loving you is my devotion. Give you girl full potion. Oh, my beautiful addiction. With a sweet
Potter ranking alongside Diamond Platinums with that one titled Kolo Kolo. Welcome to it if you have just joined us. This is Heartlines, Sheila Ndikumana keeping you company, and I'm with you all the way through to midnight in Central African time. Now, in this segment, the very first conversation that is, we will be exploring the gap between rights guaranteed in our Constitution and the lived reality of many women today, using hashtag Justice for Ngwekwe as a powerful example of ongoing gender-based violence. Sinotile Kubu can share her journey with us in pageantry and share her insights and thoughts on this matter. As we celebrate Freedom Month in South Africa, the interview can explore the vital question: does the freedom mean that women will still live in fear? Joining us on the line this evening is Sinotile Kutu. Good evening to you, Sinotile. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Sheila. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Let's start off with all things pageantry, right? I can only listen, and I'm saying this from the context of an individual who's watched very many movies. That's where my context comes from, okay? So do not judge me, right? But the life of pageantry looks so glamorous, right? It looks beautiful, it looks adorning. It's like, if I want to recognize the extent to which I am a woman, I would join a pageant. Is that true?
Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, let me just say, your insight in pageantry is just as vast as mine, much to your surprise. Much to your surprise, yes. This is actually the first pageant that I've ever entered. Hence, I'm close to my 40th, and I went and entered Mrs. South Africa. And let me tell you what about it drew me into it. It was the empowerment program that is part and parcel of Mrs. South Africa. So it is more than just a beauty contest. It's an empowerment program designed to help women to become the best versions of themselves. So us participants get to engage in activities that promote self-discovery, confidence, community service. And we raise awareness where we can. So in just to put it in closing, Mrs. South Africa is just a pageant that offers a transformative journey that empowers women to become influential leaders and advocate for positive change. So I'm not sure if you were looking for that or you were looking for the glitz and the glamour. I think that comes when they're doing the announcements.
Yeah.
But from the jump, you have to undergo an intensive program of personal development workshops, where we're focusing on personal branding, goal setting, leadership, and more.
Let's talk about your relationship with women development, women upliftment, empowerment, if you will. What is it about this particular form of activism that sort of reels you in and draws you closer, apart from you being a woman, of course?
Okay. When you're part of a pageantry, say you need to be involved in and stand for something. For myself, I'm looking forward to combating gender-based violence in South Africa. So being on this platform, I will be able to obviously raise awareness, try my level best to empower women as much as I can, by also boosting their confidence and providing them with a platform to share. I can share my story and my experiences as well, and also empower those survivors of gender-based violence. Do community engagements, be a role model as well. I think the best one is always doing collaborations with NGOs. There are a lot of women who find themselves destitute when they try get away from their current circumstances. And there are NGOs who take in those ladies. So if we can help financially, advocate, also make people aware using our I'll call it stature, if a lack of a better word, to bring that awareness, it really does go a long way. And also try advocate for economic empowerment as well, so that women can be able to stand for themselves. And wherever there's financial freedom, you do have more of a louder voice.
That's absolutely correct. Sino, let's talk about your story. You said that you would like to engage and firstly spearhead the fight against GBV. What's your
Mhm.
story in the matter?
Okay, so it's not a personal experience, but more an observed one, um, with people around us. I can imagine that everyone knows someone who's been through such experiences, but it's such a shameful one. No one is vocal about it. You will see people shying away, not being as active in communities, or being seen as, you probably see them as being introverts. While people don't tell you what they're going through, some women are also oppressed financially, and you'll just think she's being very modest. Meanwhile, she's trying to make do with what she has. So it's those things that you see growing up, where you have married couples, but you then realize that it's the woman who's holding everything herself. So that is also oppression to a certain level, because she's not free to make her own decisions. She's probably even supporting the man in the house and the kids. Whatever she makes is demanded from her as well. So such things normally do end up becoming what lead to physical violence, as emotions get high, when normally doesn't have his way in certain cases, in certain households. And you'll be surprised as to how, I'd like to call it bleeding. People end up bleeding on each other when they have unresolved issues. So as people grow up, they have this resentment, or they hold back. And when you have conversations with people, you don't discover that they actually grew up in rather hostile environments, where they, either the men witnessed their moms being oppressed, or the woman was told to always play less than to accommodate the man of the house. So things like that happen. So it doesn't have necessarily have to be something that happened to me. The fact that I've seen it happen and engage with people who've been through such experiences, it's more than enough to fuel the fire in me and say, I want to make a difference. I don't want to have this in a mind or step and do nothing about it.
Sino, we're currently observing Freedom Month here in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine all kinds of conversations concerning emancipation, liberation for various groups are being discussed in this month. What does freedom mean to you? And I ask this because you said that financial or economic liberation is one thing that women strive for, but sometimes it almost sounds like we want women to live independently of men. And I think that's when we sort of tilt the scale and lose the balance.
Not even. I think I've said it before in a previous interview, where I said I'm actually all for family. I said that, if we can have a strong family unit where the mom is present, where the father is present, and we have a healthy home where we can have open, honest conversations, we'll get far more done than trying to put man against women. Remember that a man can never do a woman's job, and nor can a woman do a man's job in the sense of being a father or a mother. That's why I'm being explicit on that part. I'm not going now in terms of employment.
Yeah.
A child needs their father, a child needs their mother as well. There's a certain nurturing that comes from a woman that a man cannot provide. There's a certain guidance that comes from a man that a woman cannot provide. So no matter how much I want to be that person, my children will still need their dad. So I would all continue to also advocate for people to mend those families and allow those adults to have that role within their families, where the father is the father and is giving that nurturing guidance as the man in the home, and the mom is also offering that gentleness and guidance as well as the mom in the house, because you do need that warmth. Some people would normally say, if there's a passing of a parent, please don't quote me on this one. They would say, it would have been better if the dad left. Yeah. which is a problem, because normally women are seen as the nurturers, the caregivers. But it's never better if anyone leaves. It's much better if everyone is there, because everyone has a role to play and everyone has a responsibility, into fill in their cup in order to raise the kids and have a wholesome family.
Let's continue the conversations concerning the rights of individuals, right? Now, South Africa has one of the most progressive constitutions in the world. Why do you think there's still this stark gap between rights on paper and the lived reality of women, children, and people in South Africa?
Yes. So the lived reality, thank you for bringing that one. So naturally, despite obviously the robust legal protections that women have from the Constitution, we cannot shy away from the reality of gender-based violence. We cannot shy away from economic inequality. I mean, patriarchal norms as well, and access to justice. These glaring examples when it comes to injustice in this country. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having these hashtags that are floating around currently. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Unfortunately, South Africa has the highest rate of gender-based violence in the world, and many women experience physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. When it comes to economic inequality, women, we often face higher unemployment rates and economic discrepancy, which also exacerbates the vulnerability to abuse and limits our opportunities. It also doesn't help that in terms of patriarchal norms, traditional and cultural practices, they do continue to limit women's roles in leadership and decision making, so both in the household and broader society. We can extend it as much as we can with regards to, as I mentioned, the access to justice. Many women struggle to access justice due to systematic barriers, including lack of resources, support, and sometimes bias within the legal system.
And with that being said, I understand that you have strong views concerning the hashtag justice for Cwecwe. And of course, this is a brutal, brutal story that is unfortunately not an abnormality in the context of South Africa and the African continent. What are your thoughts?
With the hashtag justice for Cwecwe, we just need to be very careful that we are not ruled by emotions. And hence, we need to tread carefully when discussing the topic. Obviously, for me, I'll be directly affected because I'm a mother of 2 kids, girls. It brings the startling issue of how unsafe our kids are. Child goes to school and something happens. We expect that when our kids are at school, they are safe, they are protected. Not that I'm insinuating that anything happened there, but this just brings to light the fact that at any given time, anything can happen to you as a woman in South Africa, be it your child or an adult. I don't think there's a woman who can lift up their hand and say, I'm safe. I feel safe, I feel protected. It's very difficult for that because injustices also happen within homes. And the worst part is that perpetrators are normally known people in the family, can be a neighbor, can be anyone. So I think that's the most devastating part about it. But I think the part that actually shakes us to the core even more is the lives that are ruined when small kids are violated in that manner. And then no one is held accountable. There is no justice served, and it just ends up fading into nothingness. That is the saddest injustice that we are experiencing, and it seems to be happening more and more. And it's just unfortunate that I can easily say media is not making enough noise about it, because only media is the one who can keep the fire burning, and remind us constantly and put it out there that this is the problem that we have. I mean, it's if not on media, then where? People can collect in groups, but it wouldn't have just enough impact if not everyone is aware of it. And the reason why I'm also bringing up media is because I don't believe these things are new things. I think the reason why now it's such a big issue that's glaring at us, because social media reaches everywhere. So now everyone gets to know it at real time. I can imagine worse atrocities were also happening in the past, but because they didn't have the power of media, it didn't get much traction. It was something that would be only isolated within that community.
The voice of Sinotile Kubu joining us this evening, semi-finalist of Mrs. South Africa 2025. Sino, you said something so powerful. You said no woman in South Africa can raise her hand and say, I feel safe or I am safe. How do we remedy that situation? What would it take for us to get to a place as a society where women do feel safe?
Let's start with the root. Women are not violating themselves. There are perpetrators out there, right? So we need the men to be men and also call out such behavior. These perpetrators are not living in a void. They are in communities, they're in the societies. So someone must know something, so if someone behaves in a certain way, you can see that something not quite okay. It can even be those silly jokes that people make. It always starts as a haha joke. And if we don't call out such behavior, we are sort of giving it like a small thumbs up. It's not a bro joke. Things like that should be called out. It doesn't have to be something as horrific as #JusticeForXwagwe for one to call out wrong for wrong. So it's stuff that needs to be learned. We need to call each other out, correct each other, educate each other, and have men protect their women. Let a man be a man based on his gentleness and understanding as well. As soon as we can unlearn I think is called bravado part of being male, and we understand that we need men to be also nurturing, I think it will make life much safer. And the honest truth is that it's not all men. It only takes a few bad apples to make the whole bunch bad. And it's quite unfair to paint a whole gender in the same brush when it's just few individuals who are giving everyone a bad name. We do have men who are also advocating for a stop against gender-based violence, protecting kids, protecting women. So we need more of those voices to be heard. We need more of them to start actioning and doing what's right, and other men also taking charge and listening and teaching themselves to stop this what should I call it, behavior or for lack of a better word, and start doing good. Understand that they are also nurturers as well and protectors.
Sino, let's make it a bit more personal and contextual, right? Have you ever, in any moment in your life or career, felt that your safety or freedom was compromised because you're a woman?
In terms of work,
work and your personal space, has this been an experience that you can personally account on?
Let me think of an example. Personally, I'll tell you what the issue is here. Sometimes when we normalize things that are not supposed to be normal, being catcalled, for example. So I grew up in Durban, KZN. There's a certain area called Imlazi. It's a famous township. It's a bit smaller than Ilokoza, Soweto. But there would be, I remember distinctly, there was a time when I was in grade 7 and I was at Mlazi going to my dad's coming from town. And when I got off the bus, a guy decided, not much older than me. So the other problem is that I looked older than my age, because of how fast my body developed. So I had this guy who approached me, and I have a right to not entertain someone if they're trying to chat me up. I didn't feel safe. And strange enough, there were other kids that were on the road. So as I was walking, he grabbed my arm. It was very strong. And I remember feeling like my shoulder blade is about to dislocate. That's how powerful and aggressive he was when he held me.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm talking early truth, and I'm like late 1990s, going towards 2000. And he said to me, you're going to be my friend. They had this bad habit, guys. The ones that couldn't court properly, they would demand. They would be like, you're going to be my girlfriend. And when I tried snatching away, he then showed me a weapon. I had an out-of-body experience at that time. Now you must understand, I'm 12, turning 13 at that stage when this happened. And I was walking home. There were other kids playing along the road. I was just a few meters away from home when this happened. And for the life of me, I just became very calm. Within that panic, I became very calm. And he said, walk with me. And then here I was at that age, having to convince this person that, no, don't worry, I'm your girlfriend now. How about I see you tomorrow? And he says, oh, okay. Now he's smiling because he's now thinking he won me over. The moment I got away from him, I ran for dear life. And I got to my dad and I told him what happened. He wanted to go out and find this guy. For the life of me, at that time, I couldn't even recall what he looked like. But I felt completely unsafe. At that moment, I was terrified because you can imagine if he had decided he's going to make me walk to his place because now I'm afraid of this weapon that he has. Anything could have happened, So I can imagine I'm not the only girl who's gone through such things. I'm sure others had even worse fates where they found themselves being sexually violated. And in my instance, it was just the time when he insisted that I'm going to be his girlfriend. So I think God intervened at that time and found favor in me so that that's all that he did. But I certainly no longer felt safe.
Yeah. What's really interesting, is I was having a conversation with an e-hailing service driver, and he was talking about, he was asking me why I'm traveling so late, right? Because of work purposes and forth at least. And so he then says to me, because I had placed the pin on my app to say, if I get in your car, I need to give you a pin to secure this ride. And he says, if I'm to be honest and fair with you, if I want to violate you, there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, no.
Because it's just you and I in the car. And I think what that did to me and how that woke me up is the reality that we as women need to an extent, find coping mechanisms. And I say this because I listened to your story and I'm listening to the counsel he gave as well. The first thing he said is you need to be calm in the situation. You cannot afford to show panic. Because if you show panic, it's almost like you're fueling up this predator. You're exciting the predator behavior. And so what are some of the coping tips and strategies that you'd give to another woman, to a girl even? Because this happened to you at age 12, 13.
Yeah. You can give people as much tips as you can. So I'm not an expert, but one thing, it's very clear. When you are in a fight or flight situation, it's very difficult to remember what is it that you're supposed to do. I know experts always say, just keep calm, try to take charge. I mean, other parents, even if they can afford, they take the kids for self-defense classes, but there really is no saying, and it's so unfair that we now need to give people tips on how to handle little kids, girls. We're physically weaker. we now must give each other tips on how to handle ourselves in such situations. Other people become completely paralyzed when they face such situations, Others have spontaneous strength,
Yeah.
And I'll make a classic example. I think it's, okay, I'm not good with the names. Sorry, you're going to forgive me with this one.
Yeah.
But it was the last is it MTV Awards that happened was it the Dome? So it was a couple of years back. And I remember we were gonna off ramp, and at that specific spot. So I wasn't aware on that day that because of the traffic in Joburg, off ramping and trying to make our way to the event, that there were people who were doing smash and grab. So normally what they say is don't fight. This gentleman came through to the window and he smashed it. Normally, what do? We scream, we panic. But that day, I didn't do that. I was so pissed off and so startled by what he did. I fought back. I had no idea if he had a gun or a knife. That didn't even cross my mind at that time. I think he was so taken back by the fact that I fought back that he left everything and ran. I was even more irritated by the fact that now I can't go to the concert because my window's broken and it's not safe.
Yeah.
And he completely ruined my night. But what I'm trying to make an example of is the fact that you can be told whatever. Don't do this when someone attacks. Give in, hand over. But when you're in that moment, you react in whichever way. And that day, unfortunately, I fought back. I guess maybe it was to my advantage because he didn't take anything. I did have a few scratches from the glass, but it's not the safe thing to do. I remember the cops even asking me when I realized that there were a couple of us who had the smash and grab situation. They asked me, "Oh, so what did they take from you?" I said, "No, they didn't take anything. I fought." They looked at me like I was crazy because this is not a usual reaction.
Yeah.
But at that time, that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
And so, with that being said, let's perhaps tune into some of your advocacy work, right? I think I heard you loud and clear in saying that it has become such a vile context for people to exist that we need to now give each other tips and tricks on how to coexist in this world. But I'm pretty sure that some of the work that you do with individuals can better state individuals, better posture them mentally, because it's one thing to be ignorant of society's issues and then experience an encounter that is so traumatizing that you perhaps don't want to leave your house for the next 7-10 years. It's another to attend workshops, to have conversations, to be a part of the call to action, so as to be able to be informed but also mentally prepared for what lies around you. So where can we see you on stages talking to people? Are you hosting any workshops?
Oh no, I'm hoping to get to that stage. So I had recently started hashtag Ho'ona. You'll see it. I'm just trying to get it up and running, but I found it very important that we have a hashtag Ho'ona because there are so many situations and things that are taking away from us as women, as females as a whole. So I want us to get back our honor, be able not only to fight for our dignity, but also to maintain our femininity. We don't need to be masculine in the sense of being men. We don't need to be that. We can still be nurturers, We want to still preserve the softness about us. I want hashtag Ho'ona to be that woman who has gone through life adversities and sees it for what it is and decides she's going to consciously heal and make that choice so that we start healing generational wounds that no one ever talks about. I'm a firm believer that things that are never addressed do come back and up until you deal with that thing. So on the platform of Ho'ona, I want to have those engagements with those ladies I'm hoping I'll get more opportunities. And actually, there's another reason why I entered Mrs. South Africa, because I wanted to have this voice where I can launch this platform for her honor and touch those lives that have been affected, and remind women we can actually have a positive change. We don't want to be labeled as angry Black women, but we want to be women of change. We want to be women of purpose, and heal others while we are also standing as perfect examples of what survival is. But let us not downplay the teamwork that needs to happen before we can get there. So I would like to just ask people if they can just continue voting for me on the Mrs. South Africa platform. I want to live beyond the pageant. I want her honor to live beyond the crown or the sash, depending on how far I go. I want to still have my voice and touch those lives and be the voice of reason and advise women to also start healing and have the family unit that will stand together and work together. I mean, we've lost a lot of sisters. I can imagine, I can mention a lot of people that we lost unnecessarily so to these atrocious events that have happened. And I just want to grow it in everyone so that everyone has her honor. You create your own shrine of where you can reaffirm yourself and fill up your own cup so that you can also be a blessing to your kids and your family and your loved ones. We don't want to run depleted.
Sino, let's walk through that voting process. Yes. For those who are saying, listen, I don't know what you're saying to me. You're saying I must vote. I want to vote, but what do I do?
Thank you so much for that. Okay, they can type my name and surname on 47587, but the only place they're going to actually know my name and surname is if they go to Instagram to @Sinokubu. So it's SINOKUBU. At least that's the quickest one to learn. And when you get it on platform, they will find my name and surname. They will find, I need them to find the original Mrs. South Africa page on Instagram, like my page, like Mrs. South Africa page as well. They can do the same on Facebook as well. That counts as a vote. When they see my name and surname, Sinotile, SINOTHILE, Kubu, KUBU, they can send as many SMSs as they want. They charge at R3 per SMS. I would greatly appreciate their support and help me spread the word and give me the platform to promote her honor as well. I do have her honor on Instagram. Like I said, it's HER, honor with a capital letter HOUNOR.
Sino, we cannot wait to see you dressed in that crown. And I'm speaking this into being, okay? To an extent.
Thank you so much. We call it into existence.
Please, pave your path, okay? Believe it's going to happen for you so that it can actually happen. We cannot wait to see you be crowned. And also come back and talk to us about her honor and how far you've pushed with her honor and the lives you've changed using that platform.
Thank you so much. I am very grateful for this platform and this time. First, I would like to admit that I was very scared about having this interview. So thank you for being gentle with me. And, having much needed conversations. People shy away from these discussions. They shy away from these conversations. And it's exactly what we should be talking about. It's what we need. We need to heal as women. We need to enlighten each other, So thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it.
The voice of Sinotile Kubu, semi-finalist of Mrs. South Africa 2025. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Please vote for her, finding her on that number 47587. You simply text her name and surname. That SMS will come at the cost of R3. It is 9 minutes before the first hour comes to an end. If you've just joined us, welcome to it. This is Heartlines, Sheila Ndikumana, keeping you company. I told you about therapy coming to your doorstep. Right? I spoke to you about being inspired by the realities of therapists making their way to you. So no, it is not physiotherapists. I know a lot of people have been saying, Sheila, therapists on wheels should be a physiotherapist coming to give me massages and stuff. That's not the case. Stick around to find out what we talk about in the next hour.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628. Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802. Channel Africa, where every moment is an African celebration. Feel the energy, feel the connection. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Sheila Ndikumana.
Tara exit, I'm in my two-piece Jewish. Doing that cool, you wish. Busy go good, mang bullies. Ngap confused, ngap coolies. Hey, didn't I show you what cool is? He says it para being sing coolies.
Em português, é apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África @newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
The Morning Switch Weekend with the Shy Guy.
Just the other day, I went to pick up my daughter from school, and as per usual, her friends, they usually come to my car just to say hellos and goodbyes. So this particular day, they made this comment about my jacket, saying that it's giving baddie vibes. You say my jacket is giving what?
It's giving
Baddie vibes.
Baddie!
It got me thinking, where did the baddies come from? Because nothing is new under the sun, as it is said. I was like, oh yes, remember the Kenyan parliamentarian? Her name is Millie Odhiambo.
When you are urging me to be a good example to the girls, the younger ones who are doing their first term, Mr. Speaker, if they are good girls, they'll never get corner office. Be as bad as Millie Odhiambo, you will be the mother of this house. So do not be cheated like the African culture, where you are told have decorum, be nice. I'm telling you, you will go nowhere. Be a bad girl like me.
And I thought to myself, that is the original Betty.
Saturday and Sunday mornings belong to the morning switch. 3 to 6 a.m. Central African Time. Nighttime radio, just the way you like it. On Channel Africa, where the night comes alive. Heartlines. Your late night window into Africa's deep conversations.
It is 4 minutes after 11 p.m. Central African Time. If you have just joined us, what a beautiful triple play. Kick starting us off there was All the Way by Malik Berry. And then right after that, we had a song titled Yebele, taking us to Ethiopia by Hallelujah Teklek Sadiq. And then we ended off there with Questa coming in, and that song titled Lala Vilagazi, representing South Africa on the playlist this evening. If you've just joined us, this is DSTV's 802. If not, 628 on OpenView HD. We are readily available for you on that SABC Plus app. And lastly, stream us everywhere you go. www.channelafrica.co.za. Now, we are going to get into our next conversation, and this was an opportunity to have a sit down with one of the finest, if you ask me, in my own personal opinion, registered counselors. And we were looking at the work of Therapist on Wheels. Now, tonight we'll be opening the mic and the heart to a conversation that matters deeply, one that speaks to pain, restoration, and hope at grassroots level. We journey through Postmansburg in the Northern Cape, where the road of healing, or rather the road leads to healing, and it doesn't end at a clinic or a hospital building, because healing is now on wheels. This incredible initiative, Therapists on Wheels, is a beacon of care, offering free mental health services that, in all honesty, every single human being needs. Mental health is as important as your physical health, is as important as any part of your well-being. And what we absolutely love is that Therapists on Wheels prioritize this. Now, it's more than just a program. This particular program is a lifeline in collaboration with the Soul City Institute for Social Justice and under the Karabelo GBV response program funded by CIO. This project is proving that transformation is possible when care is accessible, trauma is validated, and therapy is honestly demystified. Tonight, we have an opportunity to catch up with a conversation we had with Cleopatra Qada, a registered counselor and community worker at Therapists on Wheels, who's a part of the change makers, the leaders, and the heart behind this powerful movement. Let's have a listen. Cleo.
Heartlines. Taking you into the night with love stories, fresh music, and inspiring voices from across Africa.
Cleo, welcome to Heartlines. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's just start off with the inception point of Therapists on Wheels.
Okay, thank you for having me, Sheila. Therapists on Wheels is a non-profit company which was registered in the year 2021. The motivation behind that was because there was a peak in the gender-based violence pandemic. So the founder of Therapists on Wheels saw a need that people do need these services. They just need therapeutic services, which is why we're saying that we bring them to your doorstep, because we are in a rural place. So sometimes people can't even afford to get to a taxi, to the CBO or the service that is being rendered. So that is when we decided, no, let it be a...
Everybody was in their lockdown state.
Okay. Remember during the COVID pandemic, so to speak, people were now on lockdown. Everybody was on lockdown. So we had to now deal with each other. If you're husband and wife, you had to now deal with each other the whole entire day, 24/7, right? So that became too much. And people then were struggling financially because some people didn't have jobs then. They were laid off, they were retrenched. There's just a lot going on. So people couldn't keep up with those stresses. And on the other end, you can't go out there and look for work because we are on lockdown, So that is when our GBV was now on the rise. It came to a peak because people deal with stressors differently. But most of the people that we've encountered, they resort to violence. It can either be physical, it can be emotional, however.
Yeah.
So that is when then we also saw that need that, people do need a space where they can be able to just vent, man.
Yeah. Let's talk about you identifying Postmansberg as the starting point for intervention. Why Postmansberg?
Because we are based here in Postmansberg, so we are quite familiar with the surroundings. We know what's happening. We know the hotspots for GBV. We know we're just familiar with Postmansberg since we are based here.
Yeah.
So why not bring something up, create something that will assist the people, the community of Tsantsabane as a whole? Because Postmansberg is a town, the area is Tsantsabane, the municipality is Tsantsabane. So we are not only covering Postmansberg, but we are also going on the outskirts of Tsantsabane.
The prevalence of GBV from the COVID era to now, are we seeing a decline? Are we seeing an increase? What are some of the findings in Postmansberg?
It is not easy to measure the prevalence of it. However, ours is to go out there and do awarenesses, teach people about gender-based violence. Just be there, teach them about the reporting process. For instance, we normally have workshops where in different communities whereby we are teaching people on the reporting process. Let me make an example. When you are staying with an abusive partner, right, and he's the sole provider in the home and you have nowhere else to go, right, then you don't see the need to report the case. They're abusive towards you, and now it is even physical.
Yeah.
So what you then do is, I'm not going to report this case because anyway, I have to come back here at home and that's about it. People normally just go to the police station and then they open a protection order, but then they must still go back home where the abuse is taking place. Sure. So a lot of people then decide, no, let me rather not. Let me enjoy this. This is my life. This is my journey. Let me just continue with this. So when we came in as TOW with the Karabelo gender-based response program, we then started doing also awarenesses, community dialogues to try and understand how people think of GBV, how much they know and stuff like that. That is when we came up with the workshops and the community workshops whereby we just educate them on the reporting process. You go there, you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that, you don't do that, and whatever else. And there's also a safe house now. It hasn't been quite operational because I heard that there's only been one patient that has been admitted there or a victim. I don't know if we are still allowed to call them victims. And that was it. A lot of people didn't know about that there's a safe house that they can go to. Now people know that there is a safe house that you can go to if ever you can't go back home.
Cleo, what are some of the strategies that you use to build trust with community members so that they can trust you enough to say, I have a problem?
Remember, when you go out there, you start by building off the relationship with people by going out there and doing these awarenesses. People connect with you more than they connect with the company, right? So you go there, you are at their level, you are not there to enforce anything on them, but you are just there to, let's use a dialogue for this, as an instance, as an example.
Yeah.
When you are going into a community, say you're going to be Chok for a community dialogue, you are not there to tell them what GBV is, but you also want to hear from them what they think, how much they know, what they need, and then you start working on that. And then I think also with the fact that we are social workers and registered counselors and lawyers in the office, or legal advisors, then they are able to, after the dialogue, come to you, approach you on the side if they can't speak during the dialogue. And then they will tell you, I'm having this problem and whatever else. So how can you help me? That's when you are able to assist.
And in the case of children, Cleo, in the case of young ones who are even more difficult to touch base with based on the fact that they come from homesteads, perhaps don't even have access to therapists on wheels, what are some of the strategies that you employ in order to reach the young ones?
We are also providing psychosocial support to the schools, right? We are providing psychosocial support with the schools. We have that relationship with the schools. The schools that we are working with have got child and youth care workers, right? So they are stationed at the school. They are not part of Therapists on Wheels. They are stationed at the schools. I don't know who they fall under, right?
Yeah.
So they are the ones who now do the observations and the whatever notes, and then they refer the children to us.
Yeah.
The teachers as well, they also do the same. They also refer. Remember, a teacher is in class with and interacts with the learners on the daily. And so then from there, they are able to pick up that this one needs therapy, this one needs, and then they then make the referral to us, and then we take it from there.
The voice of Cleopatra Qata joining us. She's a registered counselor and community worker, and she serves as part of the working force of Therapists on Wheels. Cleo, I want to delve deeper into the experiences of the community, and I say this specifically because things like mental health awareness are part of the conversations you would have with community members. What are some of their responses to these new concepts that they're not necessarily the most familiar with?
I find that when you come into the community and you're saying, I'm from Therapists on Wheels, and then they're thinking a physiotherapist. And then you have to break it down. No, I am a therapist, but I am not that therapist that you think I am. This is what I do. I am a counselor by profession. So, I'm a talk therapist. That's what I normally say to them. I'm a talk therapist. I'm not here to therapize your physical being, but I'm here to therapize your emotional well-being. I'm here to take care of your health.
Yeah.
And then they start, engaging. Oh, so that's what you do. Yeah. So I'm a counselor. We talk. I may not be able to give you money or whatever, but sometimes you just need a safe space to talk. I always go as far as saying to them, you know what? I'm a safe venting space for you. Just to try and make them understand. I'm a safe venting space for you because I cannot go to your friend or to your neighbor or to even anyone else for that matter and talk about your problems. So if you don't have anyone to talk to either at home or you don't have anyone altogether, we are here for that because we want to assist you to take care of your mental health.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention earlier that we're also working in partnership with clinics.
Yeah.
What the clinics do is they get an influx of patients. Every week a patient is there. Every week is there. They have a headache. They have this. They just having different ailments, and they can tell that no man, your problem is not a medical one. And then they also make referrals to us to say, you know what, just go and try talking to Therapists on Wheels, and then probably you'll get help. And there is a decrease in incoming patients with such ailments at the clinics. So you try and make them understand that it is. I'm a safe venting space. When you come and talk to me, then we are going to be able to tackle whatever problem that you have together. Sometimes you already have the answers. In fact, most of the times you already have the answers, but you don't have like a clear perspective and, a clear direction on how you can go on tackling that problem that you are facing. Sometimes you don't have knowledge.
Cleo, interestingly enough, you've said that there are patients that walk into clinics with physical ailments, right? Week on week, there's an issue here, an issue there. I think it would be really important to perhaps highlight some of the trends that perhaps a clinician has shared with you with respect to patients. What are some of the tell signs that in actual fact you're not physically sick, you just need to sit down and talk?
What happens is you get Cleo who walk into the clinic today. I'm having a headache and blah, 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 Okay, fine. They give you pain tablets. They check your BP. Your BP is sky high. They give you medication for BP. You go back home. You come back on Friday. Same problem. Presenting with the same problem, but you have the medication. No, the medication is not working. They change your medication. And you come back again next week, you expecting them to change your medication, and then they tell you, but that's when they make the diagnosis that, no, actually, in actual fact, you are not physically sick. And then they try and talk to them and get, some background of why they could be feeling in that manner, or they could be reporting to the clinic often. And then that's when they pick up that, in actual fact, when you are not sick, when you need somebody to talk to. And then when clients come to us, then because they go as far as booking an appointment for them to say, you know what, try them. If they're unable to assist you, then come back again. So far, all the patients, let me say about 90% of the patients that we've seen are no longer going to the clinic, because then you get to discover this person is dealing with grief. This person is dealing with childhood traumas. This person is, then you pick up all of those things, which are now the contributing factors to how they are feeling. They're no longer going to the clinic because now they are aware of their problem.
Cleo, that's absolutely beautiful that you're helping people find the root cause of their physical manifestations. I think that's very powerful. Let's talk about the strategies that you employ for individuals who understand silence as a coping mechanism. It's one thing to not be aware, but possibly engage in conversation. It's another to think that if I keep quiet, I will be okay. How do we then break the shell of such a patient to allow them to feel safe enough to speak?
Those are quite difficult clients to work with, right? If I'm a talk therapist, so if you're coming to me and you're not willing to open up to me, then I find it very difficult to work with you. However, we also try and do some activities. Like I said, we are not just office-based, right? We are mobile. So some of the clients are, can I use the word threatened?
Yes.
By being office-bound. So they're thinking this is supposed to be formal. And that's not how it is. So we'll try and maybe go at a park, right? While having that session. We will try and have a session whilst driving. Like I said, we are mobile. Sometimes we pick the clients up from home and go to the office with them, have a session with them there, and then take them back home. But you find that on our way to the office, we are conversing. It's just a conversation that you are having with a client. You are conversing, about just anything, the environment, the sometimes even a little bit about yourself, because in order to get somebody to trust you, to open up to you, you have to just open up a little bit. You don't have to tell them deep things, but you can just say, I'm a mom of toddlers. They give me those ones, and about that, right? You'll find that sometimes they are relating to what you are saying, and then that's when you start connecting now with the client, and then they start opening up. I will speak to a recent case. I had to leave the client because she was not opening up. It's a teenager, so teenagers, right? We tried to do activities with her. We tried to talk. We tried taking walks with her. She was just not opening up. Then this one is not mine. it's fine. Go and deal, because therapy is not for everyone. Let's be honest, Shaylin. Therapy is not for everyone. Sometimes you find that the child is unable to speak because it was a child, it was a teenager. You find that the child is uncomfortable to speak because the parent will bring in the child for therapy. When they bring in the child for therapy, the problem is with the parent and not with the child. So the child is just reacting. In such instances, you then encourage the family, the entire family or the parents as well, to also come in for therapy, because we have the way of transferring our traumas, our anxieties, and whatever not to our children, of projecting them to our children. We have a way of displacing our emotions to our children, to our spouses, to whoever that we come into contact with. So you find that children are just reacting to that displacement of emotions because they don't understand that mommy was sexually assaulted when they were a child. That is why they are treating me in the way they are treating me. Mommy was abused, emotionally or physically abused as a child. Mommy experienced a rejection whilst growing up. Those are childhood traumas, right? So we have a way of just displacing them or projecting them onto our children. That is when children are unable to then they're unable to then tell you that, actually, Shaylin, the reason I'm like this is because I'm reacting to mommy or daddy. They're treating me in this manner and I don't understand why. Whereas the parent has got childhood traumas that they're not talking about to the children.
Cleo, let's look at some of the misconceptions. I mean, you mentioned one where people assume the therapists on wheels are physiotherapists. Let's look at other misconceptions that people perhaps don't understand about therapy that you would need to walk in and then bring clarity to.
Other misconceptions are that with one session, people then believe that I'm going to be fine. Remember, how can you be okay in one session? Of course, other clients come in once and they are okay. They are fine. They just needed to vent at that particular time. Then that's it. But other clients, especially if they're dealing with grief, they're dealing with childhood traumas, I'll always refer to.
Yes,
I'm not sure if you can still hear me.
We just lost you there by childhood traumas.
Yes. This call is disturbing me. And I told them to not call me. But
excuse.
Then they expect childhood traumas. Then they expect him to be okay. She's coming in. A person is coming in. Well, let me not say she. A person is coming in. A patient is coming in, and they sometimes they were not even aware that they are dealing with childhood traumas because they have a way of resurfacing later on in our lives. Without us being aware, and we are unable to connect now the dots to say this is where actually this whole thing started. And they come in for one session, and they are expecting you to perform magic. The first session is a get to know you better. Right? So we can't really delve deep into whatever problem that you are there for. Right? So it's a session of creating a relationship, a bond, like we mentioned earlier. So that the person can be able to trust you, to open up to you. And then they come in and then they go for that first session and then they go and say, because of the first session, and we never really got anywhere with the session. It's a get to know. You will explain to them, we're just here to build a relationship today and whatever, and then we can have a session, a proper session. Again, a session, and then you book that follow-up session. They don't show up because they were expecting to get help instantly. Of course, you get clients who come in and are able to open up right away. But there are clients who come in and they don't want to open up. They struggle. Let me just say they don't want to, but they're struggling with opening up right away. So they just need to feel safe around you. You know, you create that rapport with them.
Yeah. And Claire, let's talk about, maybe it would be important for us now to look at the mechanics of therapy, right? Because I don't think this is just a phenomenon that happens in township areas. It's across the African continent, where you'll find the wealthiest of the lot who think that one session is supposed to help, right? It doesn't matter how much knowledge they have been fed, to the extreme extent that because of that one session and because of not getting help in that session, they disregard and they begin to shame the practice of therapy and sort of discourage very many people to do so as well. And so perhaps walk us through the mechanical structure of therapy. How does therapy help one? You know, what are the key factors that one needs to be cognizant of when stepping into a room or taking a walk with a therapist in a park? How should they tackle it mentally so that they can understand that this is a process that they're undergoing?
I hope I will be able to answer that too well. But the importance of therapy is is to help individuals to develop coping mechanisms. Remember, when you come in for therapy, there is a problem, right? And you don't know how to deal with it. Maybe you're having anger issues. You need to learn how to manage your emotions, right?
Yeah.
Instead of displacing my emotions on Shaylin or to Cleo, you are going to be taught, you have to be willing to learn there. You're going to be taught some of the strategies. This is how you can manage your emotions. This is how you can deal with your overall well-being, right? So you need to understand and manage your emotions well, and then that's when you are able to develop coping mechanisms or coping skills, right? And also, when you are having coping skills, then there's it leads to you being able to solve your problems, whatever problem that you're facing. Then you have now better problem-solving strategies, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just for your improved overall well-being and the quality of life. Just to go back to people coming in and expecting to be okay, and you mentioned a very important point that it doesn't matter how knowledgeable you are. Yeah? I get it, therapy is expensive. Let's just go there. Therapy is expensive.
Yeah.
When you go see a counselor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, roughly you'll pay from 900 to 1.8. And that's the least that you can pay. The most you can pay can go up to 2 point something for one session. And a session takes about 45 minutes to an hour, right? So then, after you've paid such a lot of money, that is why you go in there, first of all, thinking, I'm going to come back with all my problems solved. Because I've paid a lot of money for this. I've paid a lot of money for this. It's a journey. You cannot want to undo 15 years damage in one session, in 45 minutes, in an hour. Take it as a weight loss journey. I like using examples, right? You forgive me. Take it as a weight loss journey.
Yeah.
I cannot lose 20 years weight in 5 days. Come on. I can't.
Yeah.
I can lose a few inches, yes, but I cannot reach my goal in 5 days. 20 years versus 5 days. Highly impossible, highly unlikely. So I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely does, Cleo. Let's talk about the partnership and the collaboration between Therapists on Wheels and how this fits into the larger setting of Karabelo GBV response program. Of course, this is in association with Soul City Institute.
So like I said, Therapists on Wheels, NPC, that were registered in 2021, but its focus was mainly mental health support or support.
Yeah.
But we also, as one of our objectives, have a GBV support. So Soul City came into Postmasburg looking for CBO that are already doing GBV, right? To implement their program, which is called Karabelo Gender-Based Response Program. So we are implementing partners for the Karabelo Gender-Based Response on behalf of Soul City, whom are funded by SIOC. So SIOC funds Soul City funds Therapists on Wheels.
And Cleo, just on a personal level, what are you hoping to see unfold in the communities that you're working in outside a better frame of thinking for most individuals? What else do you want to see permeate?
Within our communities, there is a lack of skills as well, Ning. There's a lack of skills. So we'll refer back to an example whereby I'm living with my partner and they are providing for me. So I'm codependent to them or on them financially.
Yeah.
I don't know anything outside of that. So people are lacking skills. If people can be empowered with skills in our community, in our area, then they can be able to be independent. If you know how to start a garden of your own, I don't have to come back to Sheila all the time and say, Sheila, for spinach, I need money for tomatoes because I've got my own garden. So if people can be empowered with skills, it's a skills development, then we would actually see a decrease, even though it's difficult to measure it because we are not working with stats. Yeah.
And then lastly, Cleo, how can those listening partners, policymakers support and sustain the work you're currently doing?
Wow. We are a mobile NPC, right? We are in a mobile, we're providing mobile therapeutic support. Ne? So we are understaffed because we don't have funding. Ne? We don't have enough funding. We are understaffed and we are covering 10 areas in Zanzabani. Meaning, on one of the days I have to be in Groenwater, other days I have to be in Skeefontein, other days. If ever we can have like your mobile containers, your satellite offices in different areas, then we would be visible. Then it will help us by being visible, with visibility. People will be able to just go into those satellite offices. Because like I mentioned earlier, we go into the outskirts as well. And they have to travel 30 to 40 kilometers to get to us if we are unable to go to them. So when we do go to them, sometimes we struggle. Where are we going to have a session now? Because the person is not comfortable having a session at home. You've made efforts to get to them, right? But they're still not comfortable having a session at home and whatever. So if we could have satellite offices in different areas, we would be able to be visible and to be able to reach a lot of people.
Cleo, we certainly hope that the right ears have been listening to this conversation. And we also hope that you continue to do the amazing work that you do with your team. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Sheila.
Zilipendwa na I am Henry Shekif.
Baiter, mambo vipi?
Poa.
Mwaka 2025 mpaka hivi sasa ukoje kwa upande wako mzee baba?
Kabisa, kwa sababu tumejiandaa vizuri. Kama mwaka jana tumefunga vizuri na Septemba, mwaka huu tumefungua vizuri na
hatari sana. Mzee umejipanga, utaki kutupumzisha?
Maana mwanzo alikuwa analalamika sana, you spend long time without releasing songs, blah blah. Now I need to
back to back. Platform, mambo vipi?
Mambo poa kabisa, wanasemaje huko ese?
Yani huku kuna shangwe, yani la kufa mtu, sikwambie mtu babu.
Hii ni marangu ya kwanza pia kusikika kwa pande hizo za South Africa.
Karibu sana, unajisikiaje?
Kwa na furaha kubwa sana kwa sababu ni marangu ya kwanza na I hope watu watakuwa wananisikiliza wengi pia. Ili uweze kuvuka nje, watu waweze kukufahamu, tuseme West hivi na nchi tofauti, ni lazima pia uanze kufanya vizuri hapa nyumbani, then uvuke East Africa, after East Africa.
Zilipendwa hapa kwenye Channel Africa. Taswira ya Afrika.
Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, reports that over 3 million children are involved in prostitution globally, while the International Labour Organization estimates that 1 million people are trafficked annually for sexual exploitation. Many victims are lured with false promises of a better future.
We have serious problems, Lulu. One, we had porous borders, easy access of these criminal transnational syndicates coming in and living at ease. Number one. Number two, we also have a problem where some of our law enforcement officers, those who are rogue, who work hand in glove with the syndicates because they give them something in return of them turning a blind eye. Point number three, we have a problem of corruption that leads to us being a playground of this transnational organized crime.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. Heartlines bring you fresh perspectives about love after dark. Sheila Ndikumana.
She girl where they trouble me, oh. She just dey bust my brain. She dey say she want my sugar cane. She dey twist my dress. Yeah, you sweet, girls. Yeah, you turn me up. And I'm in the grace for your body. So. Tell me what I done to you. All I did is got to love for you. Tell me am I the one for you. Tell me am I the one for you. Tell me if I'm the one for you. Tell me am I the one for you? Because of you I sing this song for you. You made me go this girl.
midnight in Central African time. If you have just joined us, welcome to it. Heartlines with Sheila Ndikumana, that beautiful triple play, bringing us to the final bits of the show this evening. Lastly, you heard there Thames with that one titled Love Me JJ. Before that, we had Loj with Leader, and then kickstarting off the triple play, One Day Call with So Me So. This is DSTV's 802, if not 628 on OpenView HD. We are readily available for you on that SABC Plus app. And lastly, stream us everywhere you go. www.channelafrica.co.za. I'll tell you what, more than just streaming the show, there's an opportunity to learn about the station through our platform, that www.channelafrica.co.za. Get to know the station, get to know the shows that exist on the station, from Rise and Shine with Peter Ndoro and Asanda Beda to Heartlines with Sheila Ndikumana. And so you want to be able to delve into the content that Channel Africa offers you. Of course, we pride ourselves in offering content through the lens of the African, giving you that African perspective. With that being said, let's talk about the show that was. So in the very first hour of the show, we had an opportunity to touch base with none other than Sinotile Kubu, who is a semi-finalist for Mrs. South Africa. And we were looking at her journey to Mrs. South Africa 2025, looking at her passions and looking at the reality that she wants to advocate strongly for women's rights, and looking at the context of our present day and age and where we find ourselves and the complexities that come with living in the continent with respect to the Bill of Rights that we find ourselves. I mean, we were discussing the Bill of Rights for South Africa and how this constitution so happens to be one of the most amazing kinds across the globe. And so how does this then translate into our daily lives? Does it translate at all, was the question, and that was the very first conversation. Then in the second hour, we touched base with Cleopatra Qeda, who is a registered counselor, and she so happens to also be a community worker for Therapists on Wheels. And what they do is they afford free mental health services. So if you are looking for mental health care, then they are the individuals to be looking out for, all the way in Postmansburg in the Northern Cape. And I absolutely love that the work that they are doing at this inspiring initiative alongside Soul City Institute, offering free mental health care and support. And this is for various groups of people, from women and children to men as well. And so if you are in the Northern Cape and you're saying, Sheila, I hear this conversation, but more often than not, it caters for women, for children. I don't know if you're going to see me as a man. Well, in the Northern Cape, you are spotted and you are cared for. So make sure that you get in touch with Therapists on Wheels. And that's how we sign, seal, and deliver this edition of Heartlines. I hope you had a splendid one from the team and I. It has been a pleasure keeping you company this evening. Up next, Morris touch on the Afro Republic. The question is, are we still talking concerts? Are we still looking at the business of music and how Africans can thrive through business? Something that Morris Touch said that was so powerful was we tend to think the music industry is about either being an artist or being a consumer, but there's so many opportunities for investments. So you think of investing in an artist, perhaps establishing your own publishing company, perhaps a distribution company. Maybe you just want to invest in those companies. There are so many avenues to lay the foundation for the development of African music. And Morris Touch will surely keep you abreast with all that and so much more. And he will be joining you from midnight in Central African time. Again, from the team and I, it has been an absolute pleasure keeping you company this evening. Do take care of yourselves. And until we meet again, good evening, Africa.
Top of the morning and welcome. It's almost 7 minutes before.
Hotlines bring you fresh perspectives about love after dark with Sheila Ndikumana.
So I suppose my time isn't up yet. Morris Touch, you join us on the line this evening. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Sheila. How was your day?
Fantastic. I had beautiful conversations. We looked at therapy, the importance thereof, and how therapists on wheels are facilitating the affordance of mental health care for those in the Northern Cape. We also spoke about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights in South Africa. It's beautiful on paper, but are we living it? Is it a lived experience is the question.
Yes.
And so those two conversations facilitating the show that has been. But what comes up next on the Afro Republic?
Maybe before I just drop what comes up next, maybe let me just find out from you.
Yeah.
What's your take on therapy?
Morris, therapy is a conversation with self first before the next person, right?
All right.
You need to understand the role that therapy plays. And for me, therapy is the equivalent of somebody affording you wisdom to navigate the terrain of different challenges in life. So if you're going through something, you'll go to your friend, your mom, your aunt, your grandmother. And the idea is to get some level of counsel so that you can navigate this discourse. Yes? That's therapy for me.
I've always thought that our generation is actually using therapy as I'm not really, this is just an observation that I've picked.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that everyone is like that, but it's becoming an excuse of people that are finding it hard to self-examine, like you said, maybe self-introspect, that type of thing. And they find therapy being the easiest escape. Do you share the very same sentiments? Or?
I don't know. So Morris, for the longest of times, what we have seen is our forefathers neglecting self-reflection.
All right.
So here comes a generation that's bombarded firstly with information.
Yeah.
Secondly, they're made cognizant of, in inverted commas, their mental deficiencies.
All right.
Third, they're trying to navigate the old terrain, which is be strong, be courageous, be brave, power through it. And then they're also trying to familiarize themselves with help. Should there be an opportunity to mend what was once broken, what was once misunderstood. So I don't know if it's an excuse. I think we're just trying to find our feet. I think that's the era we're in with respect to mental health. We are trying to find the perfect balance, and that's going to take some time.
Thank you very much, Sheila. Well put together. You can expect nothing but the very best. Now that Sheila is out late so much, I will be in from Bulawayo from 12 midnight through to 3 a.m. Central African time. It's all about music, and the conversations that we have are so related to what happens in the beautiful world of music. I think one of these days I would like to take a journey into mental health within the music industry and the arts industry. Beautiful topic that I would love to take as soon as possible. But in the meantime, stand by for music, and more music on Afro Republic on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
shamina